Oh, yeah. Let's talk some Indiana Pacers here. Somebody who's covering the Pacers and the Pacers alone, Ryan Knight. He does a Pacers post-up podcast. Is this on the Believe Network?
Yes, it is.
I believe. And Ryan Knight joins us here on the Rob Dibble Show with Ben Darnell. How you doing, Ryan?
Rob, I'm doing great. You know, it's a little bit of a gloomy day in here in Indy, but that does not reflect my mood right now. Is getting ready for a big finals game one, and really just couldn't be more excited to see this matchup against Oklahoma City going on.
How pumped are Pacer fans right now? I mean, obviously, I played in Cincinnati, which is right next door, and went through Indianapolis a bunch of times. But how fired up are they for the Pacers to take out Oklahoma?
Yeah, this city, we've got a lot of fun sporting events. We've got the Colts, we've got the 500, but it's a basketball town. And I was fortunate enough to be in the building when we took out the Knicks in Game 6, and the city was just buzzing. Just walking around, I was able to share tears and hugs with people, and it's really an exciting time and something that I haven't really been a part of because I was a little young for the Reggie Miller days. So the first final appearance for me, first final appearance in really the last, 25 years. And there's not much like it when this city, as you probably know, gets going, and there's a lot to do. And there were some giveaways and events, and there's going to be a watch party in Gamebridge tonight that I'll be at to watch the game. So it's hard to put into words, honestly, with you, Rob, how the city feels because it's just a magical time right now.
Ryan Knight, Ben Darnell with you. I am from Indiana. I am a Pacers fan, sir, and I have you know I've been wearing my Reggie Miller jersey all throughout the Northeast ever since the Cleveland Cavaliers series, and I've been kicking these Knick fans in the butt, and they don't even want to see it. The one thing I was criticizing the Knick fan, after they beat Boston, it was party in the streets. We have already won the NBA Finals. Who cares about the rest of the world? We beat Boston. That's all we care about. And then game one happened, and the rest is history against the Pacers. Now, I am nervous with what you're telling me, and I know this to be true as well with everyone I've talked to in Indiana. People are bonkers about beating the New York Knicks. Will that carry over, though? I don't want us to, get totally excited for winning the East and not focus on these next games that are coming up with Oklahoma City.
Yeah, for sure. I think as a fan, I probably got a little ahead of myself, much like you, enjoying I don't think there's a team more satisfying to beat as a Pacer fan than the New York Knicks, especially in historic faction.
Yes.
I'm sure parading the streets was really entertaining. I'm jealous of you there because I don't get a lot of New York Knicks action down here, but I don't think this team looks at it this way. They have been constantly talking about 4 more wins. And every media availability and even the coaching staff, that was the messaging. You enjoy this tonight when we won Game 6, but we've got 4 more wins against what's going to be the toughest matchup that we've had because the Thunder are an absolute bowling ball. We know what they do defensively. We know what they do forcing turnovers, getting out in transition. And I'm excited for this matchup. I know there's been some, national media, hey, I don't know, not a lot of stars, even though we have the MVP in this, but I think this is going to be 2 real juggernaut teams, the best offense, the best defense, and so I'm excited and think this team is well-equipped as we can be. Not going to say it's going to be easy because there's a lot of interesting matchups here, but I think this team is the right team to try to carry and bring home the first finals championship to Indy.
Talking to Ryan Knight, a Pacers Post-Up podcast. Besides Siakam and Halliburton, who has to be big for the Pacers to win the finals?
Yeah, we really do it by collective unit, so everybody's going to have to come. Miles Turner's going to have to stretch the floor. We know what Aaron Nesmith did in Game 1 going nuclear, but I look at Andrew Nembhard. He's going to be the key in this series because I expect a lot of pressure to be on Tyrese, a lot of blitzing. They've got a lot of good guards to throw at him, Dort, Caruso, Wallace. And so they're going to have to play a little offense through Nembhard, but even then more important, he's going to be the primary assignment on Shea. And we can survive big performances from star players. We did that with Brunson. We did that with Mitchell. We did that with Giannis. But we have to make their life difficult. And Nembhard's going to be picking up from 90 feet, trying to force Shea into just some uncomfortable sets, get him off his spots a little bit. And so he's going to have a huge assignment to try to try to negate him, because if we start seeing, I think Shea averaged 39 against us in the 2 games in the regular season. And I know that's a little different, but we're going to have to try to minimize him as much as we can. And that's why I'm looking at Andrew Nembhard as probably the X factor on the Pacers side here.
The one thing I noticed with the post-game press conferences with the Pacers, even in wins, they kept on harping that they got to get better at rebounds. They got to get the New York Knicks off the boards. Were they able to do something different in games in 4, 5, and 6 to squell that and to actually get more rebounds than the Knicks? And what does that mean for this series with Oklahoma City Thunder? We're big Hartenstein fans here, and we think he's going to be a problem, even though nobody talks about him.
Yeah, I don't want to be the total cliche. It's a lot of effort. We know Miles Turner is he's more of a modern day big and struggles at times to get a body, but what he's actually good at is boxing out. He's not good at getting the rebound. And so what changed later in the Knicks series was the other guys crashing the boards, the Aaron Nesmith, the Pascal Siakams, and heck, Tyrese led us in rebounding that series, which is kind of crazy to think. So we're going to need those guys to step up. But I hear you. Hartenstein can get it going on the offensive glass. We saw him really shine last year against the Knicks Pacers series in the semifinals, and he had some success on the glass. Miles is going to have to force him out of the paint defensively. I think to kind of run him off the court. That's the one thing about having a stretch big against the other bigs is he kind of did that with Lopez and Jared Allen in the first 2 rounds. And so if he can stretch him out, I actually have a lot of fear of them running Chet at the 5. Yeah. I know the rebounding might not be there, but that's kind of their ace up their sleeve. If they want to go small and run with us, they can play a lot of different paces of play. And I wouldn't be surprised to see them go to Chet and then bring in Caruso as kind of a third guard in their lineup and try to bring more pressure on us. So I'm with you on Hartenstein. They're going to both be X factors. I expect them to obviously start tonight. But the glass doesn't worry me as much against the Thunder as it did a team like the Knicks when you're starting Cat and Mitchell Robinson.
Tell our listeners about Tyrese Halliburton and his father, John. And has John always been kind of a dadager or just like pop up in the postseason?
Yeah, he's always been around. I was actually in Vegas last year. We did the in-season tournament and kind of got to hang around him and talk to him. And he's quite a character. What you saw in that Bucks series is what we've seen for a couple of years now with Tyrese's dad, and he's fun. John's got a big personality, as we know. He likes to see his son succeed, and I'm glad they were able to let him back in the building. He's not going to be sitting courtside, I don't think. I think they've got him up in a suite, so we're not going to see any exchanges with the Thunder player in this series. But I think Tyrese likes to have his dad and energy in the building. And this has been not something new. What he did with Giannis, walking out on the court, waving the flag, kind of getting in his face. It's probably not the best thing to do. Not what you're looking for in the interaction, but that's kind of who he is. So you kind of take the punches with it. He was out partying. There's a couple videos of him at bars when he couldn't go to the game, doing the choke sign when Tyrese hit the shot. So he's a character, and honestly, I wouldn't have it any other way. So I'm excited to be in the building. We won't have any skirmishes, but he's something. And Tyrese has kind of got a little of that in him too. He likes to flaunt and have a big personality. And we've seen him do the Dame time celebration. Obviously the Reggie choke. He was doing the Brunson hand over the mouth celebration. So you can see where he gets a little bit of it.
What is going on with John Cougar Mellencamp? Explain us this Hoosier First of all, I'm from Indiana. I've never heard the term Hoosier hospitality until this NBA playoffs. And what's going on with John Cougar Mellencamp, and why is he so upset?
Yeah, this story's kind of new to me. I haven't followed the John Mellencamp story. He's a little outside my era, so you guys might actually have to fill in the listeners even more. I don't want to age myself too much here.
He's more of my age. I'm in my 60s. He's ancient. I don't even know why he's even why people are talking about him.
Oh, man.
So. I was more in the Timothy Chalamet. That was more my age demographic. Yeah, so seeing him kind of squeal on the sidelines was more what I was tuned in on.
Right, Ryan, I thought they were gutsy. Ben Stiller, Spike Lee, like in your crowd. I mean, how did your crowd react with some of those Knicks faithful, right up front there?
Yeah, well, it's hard to not bring up. I don't know if you guys got a chance to see Pat McAfee's fourth quarter kind of.
Yes.
I don't even know what you call it, amphitheater, where he calls out Ben Stiller, he calls out Spike Lee, he calls out Timothy, and there's a roaring boo. And truthfully, I love most of those guys. I mean, Spike Lee's maybe a different story, but the other two are phenomenal actors. But in the building, I wanted nothing more just to see them disappointed. And it seems like a couple of them took it kind of the wrong way. I don't know. I've watched Pat McAfee, obviously been an indie guy for a long time, and that's totally his personality. And so I wasn't surprised to see him kind of go after those guys. I thought it was in mostly a playful manner. But they were a little, rubbed the wrong way, which I don't care. Obviously you're going to be rubbed the wrong way when Tyrese is doing what he does to you. So it's been a fun storyline to kind of watch a few of these roll through. But yeah, it's different when Pat McAfee's calling you out courtside.
Ryan, one thing that burns me up in Connecticut, and again, I'm from Indiana, played high school basketball in Indiana. They have signs all over the place when you get in the state that say,
coming across the border from New York or Mass or wherever.
Basketball capital of the world. I mess that up every time, and I'm glad I do. Basketball capital of the world. And it's obvious because of our UConn teams who have won how many championships now, Devs?
16.
16 total?
No, 18 total.
18 total. 12 for the women and 6 for the men.
6 for the men.
Make a case for us, man, us Hoosiers. Like, come on, dude. We have basketballs thrown at us as soon as we come out of the womb. Like, we're shooting layups and doing Pete Maravich drills at 3 years old. Basketball capital of the world, my butt, Connecticut. Do we have to win this finals? Like, what? Give me your take on this and why the Hoosier, Indiana, is the capital of the basketball world.
Yeah, I think there's a real argument, and I'm not sure this stat stands. I know it was a while ago, but I think Indiana had like 9 of the 12 biggest high school basketball auditoriums in the country.
Yes.
It was something crazy, and it's like what you said. You're putting a basketball right when you're playing on a Little Tykes, you're playing on a hoop over your door rim in your bedroom or out in the street. I know that's how I was grown up and raised, and so I think it's ingrained on you early on. And people don't think of Indiana because, for basketball, if you're out-of-staters, I guess, because we might not have had all the success that, a New York and L.A., a Boston has had. But when this team gets going, there is an energy and a love truly for basketball. And that's why I think we've gravitated so much to this team, because they play such a fun, free-flowing, unselfish brand of basketball that's really exciting to watch. And it's just, on top of having Cinderella story, comeback story, through each round in this series, you can go Bucks, Cavs, Knicks. There's been a crazy comeback in each one of them with a marquee shot that ended it. And so I think that's the argument, is that there's just not a lot of states that have this love early on from basketball. You think from high school gyms, we've got, Purdue and IU, huge basketball schools, and then the Pacers, who the city's rallying around. And yeah, I don't care what anybody else wants to say. To me, we are definitely the capital of basketball.
Talking to Ryan Knight, Pacers Post Up podcast on Believe Network. Tell me about Caitlin Clark mania, and when will she be back playing for the Fever?
Yep, Caitlin Clark dealing with the quad injury right now. I'm thinking we're about 2 weeks away. The quad can kind of linger. And I had the question posed to me actually the other day that if Tyrese wins the championship, do we think he passes Caitlin Clark, kind of fandom? And I don't even think it's possible. I think Caitlin Clark is probably the most popular basketball player in America. You might have Steph and LeBron still with an argument, but what she's done, for obviously women's basketball, the WNBA is something crazy. It's hard to walk around this city just in general without seeing number 22 jerseys everywhere. I'm sure there'll be plenty in the buildings for game 3 and 4. And what I actually really love about Caitlin is her and her husband, and then Tyrese and his wife, are all really close. They kind of both embrace each other. We'll see her at the Pacers playoff games. You'll see him supporting the Fever down there. So the good news is it's all love between all of them, but Caitlin Clark is doing some special stuff, and I don't think I have to inform any of your audience on that, because what she's done for the sport, selling out buildings. To get into a Fever game right now in balcony, you're looking at a couple $100, where a Pacer regular season game you might get in for 10.
Are you expecting to see Larry Bird at all during this series? And I know this is ESPN series, right? So is Reggie going to be in the house? And here's another one for you. Has anybody called Sean Kemp? I mean, Oklahoma City was once the Seattle Seahawks. Sean Kemp, Concord High School. Come on, man. We got to get this guy in the building.
Yeah, I expect to see some celebs. I haven't seen Larry in the building yet. I expect Reggie to potentially make it. We really see the celebs you see on the Indiana side are Mike Epps is always in the building. Yep. Lance Stevenson likes to make his guest appearance.
Awesome.
That was the whole year because, he's my favorite player of all time. It's not even close. He gets an absolute standing ovation. Every time when Reggie was making the calls with TNT, they'd show Reggie, the building would erupt. But I'm telling you, Lance's cheers were right there. The crowd was up on its feet. He's giving his dance. He's doing it like boxing the camera. His personality is still just something that never breaks. So I'll be curious to see. I know Larry's got some connections still with the front office. He's close with Kevin Pritchard and obviously the owner, Herb Simon. So hopefully we can see him get in. The problem is if he's in the building, we might not see him. He's low-key. He's not trying to draw attention to himself. He might be kind of hiding in a suite. But hopefully if he is, we can get a camera on him and use him as fuel for the crowd.
Well, good luck to you, Ryan. Hopefully you guys take it. We're pulling for the Pacers here. Yeah. Obviously, working with a guy from Indiana and my roots and playing in Cincinnati, we'd love to see a Midwestern team take it, not OKC. We're not pulling for the Thunder that much. Appreciate you, man.
For sure. Thanks for having me on, guys.
All right. Ryan Knight, everybody. Pacers Post Up Podcast. You can catch it on Believe. We'll take a quick break. We'll come back. We'll talk some Hartford Athletic. They're kicking butt and taking names finally. And Sebastian Anderson's the 22-year-old phenom. We're going to talk to him next on the Rob Dibble Show. Ben Darnell in your afternoon drive. Henry Bieniemy is on your ones and twos. Nick Federico is on our YouTube channel. We'll be right back.